Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a challenge where I build 50 houses and also their interiors. And I'm hoping to improve my house building skills because honestly right now they're not the best and I always see these really cool builders online and I want to be like them. So we're going to be practicing and hopefully we'll see some improvement. Okay, so for this first house, I'm just gonna do something that I would normally do. Nothing really special. Nothing's really wrong with the way I built the house, but I can't help but want something better. So I'm going to practice in today's video and hope to improve my building skills overall, but mainly I'm going to be focusing on houses. So I got the basic walls down, and as you can see, I'm starting to add some random details. Again, I'm not the best with this type of stuff, which is why I want to improve. They're okay, but the way I placed those stairs and the color composition is just not the best. So I definitely want to work on that. But next, it's time for the roof. I usually just build my roofs the same way. I stack some slabs on top of this triangle shape and I extend them outward, and then I just finish off the roof. And I also add a window and some trap doors to, add to the look. And that's really it. Next, I like to add some leaves and plants for decoration because it just never feels complete. So I slap on a bunch of leaves onto the roof and I basically put them everywhere, and then I cover the entire house in vines, and I also add some flowers. Yeah, the whole house, it just basically turns into a DIY forest. So that's lovely. But I wanted to try something new, even though I'm not supposed to be technically for this house. But I grabbed some shelves, the new Minecraft shelves, and I just put them on the bottom of the house as decoration. And then I began adding the floor, and that pretty much finished the house. For the second house, I want to definitely try something new. I typically like building with cherry wood planks because they're just really pretty. But the type of style I'm going to be going for is a bit different than what I usually do. I want to add more shape to the house, I guess. And then also I want to try a flat roof because I usually do the classical triangular roof. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Okay, I'm pretty happy with the foundation, but I want to try to incorporate some stones because some of the villager houses, they have this stone on the bottom, and I like the look of that. So I really want to incorporate that into this build, which turned out to be pretty bad, I guess, in the end, because it just didn't really fit the vibe at all, but it's okay. I wanted to add some texturing, so I just replaced some of the stone bricks with mossy stone bricks and cobblestone, and also mossy cobblestone. I'm not that bad with texturing, but it just doesn't look the best either. I added some stairs, but this is where I realized that I think I might have made the pillars slightly too low because if I were to add the door, it just, I wouldn't have any wall on top left, and it would just look pretty bad in my opinion. So I just went ahead and made the little pillars 1 block taller, and hopefully that'll fix it. Alright, now I'm going to go in with the wall. I'm going to try to do a little bit of texturing here as well. It's probably not going to end up looking the best, but it's okay. I mainly went for like pink, but I'm not that good with picking my colors and color palettes, so this was a struggle. And then when I ended up placing the blocks together, it just did not look great at all, because the glazed terracotta and the concrete powder, they were like too bright, while the other pinks were like slightly more muted, I guess. They were more towards like red. So that just did not look good at all, and it looked like a rainbow slime mess. So I'm gonna have to go back and fix that later, but I added this like white door, which I regret doing because it just did not fit the whole vibe at all. I don't know where the white came from, but yeah. I fixed some of it by replacing the concrete powder with the better blocks, I guess. I'm gonna get back to you guys when I finish making the walls. I wasn't happy with the glazed terracotta, so I found this like, I don't know, like magenta / purple color. And for some reason, I decided that it'd be a good idea to add it in here because I thought it'd give it like shadow. But honestly, it just really stands out on the walls. I guess it kind of matches like the logs, but I don't really like the look of it, and it looks very blotchy, and I absolutely hate it. So after finishing that up, I decided to make a crimson roof because I didn't know what color to do. Honestly, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know if that was a good idea at all, but let's just say this house is very purple / pink. I wanted to do a flat roof because I don't really do those that much, and I wanted to try something new and be cool, but clearly that didn't really work. But yeah, I just went ahead with some crimson stairs at the bottom, and then I'll just continue to build up the roof, and also I'll be placing some crimson planks on top to finish it off. I'm sorry for all the cuts, guys. I just have so much footage that if I spend a lot of time on each house, like the video is going to be way too long. So I am going to be cutting a lot of it. And also, this house is just really garbage in my opinion, so I didn't really want to spend that much time on it. But yeah, I just went ahead and added a crimson door. I'm pretty happy I replaced that door because it was like white and it just stood out in front of everything. Now I'm just going to add some windows. I usually just use glass panes because, you know, classic. I went ahead and added some slabs as these like little windowsills, but they're like outside. And then I added some stairs and wanted to make like a round shape, I guess. I don't know how to explain this stuff, guys. I was struggling here, as you can see. This was like hard for no reason. And I did it the first time as well. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, this kind of created a cute little window frame. And it looked pretty cutesy in my opinion. But the only issue is that I feel like it blended in with the roof a little too much. So yeah, I didn't really like that. And then I added some trapdoors on the bottom to complete the look. It's a little closed off, I guess, but it's okay. I don't like to add windows too much around my houses because if I have a window on each wall, one, I can't decorate the wall, and two, like, I don't like sunlight, man. Like, I'm just like a night person, you know? But I went to the back side and I did the same thing where I added the slabs, the stairs, and the trapdoors and created another window. Next, I wanted to add some detail to the entryway to make it more like fancy, I guess. So I just used the fences to create these little pillars. Looking back now, I think I shouldn't have used crimson fences, gates, and slabs because the whole color of the house just feels really monochrome. So I definitely wish I added more color, but my color palette picking skills aren't really the best, so I'm trying to work on that. But I went ahead and added some buttons once again with the crimson planks, bro. I honestly don't know what the point of these were. I guess to like add like shape to the house, bro. Like I really do not know. But I guess it looks pretty cute. Then I decided to add some cobblestone walls because I wanted to work on the entryway a little because it just looked a little too flat. And also I wanted to add more color to the build. Next, I don't know what I was doing here. I guess I was trying to add detail, but it didn't really work. Then, of course, I went all in with the leaves. I incorporated some cherry leaves in here because I thought they would look cute. And then I blended that into the flowering azalea, normal azalea leaves. And that was about it. When all the houses are lined up together, I feel like there is just way too many leaves now. But I really like the way the leaves look. It really finishes the house in my opinion. But I think some houses just don't fit the vibe with the leaves. And then I also added the vines, which the house just ended up looking like another jungle. I don't even know what to say. This house is so far my least favorite house. See, this is why I never try anything new, man. I don't know what this atrocity is, but I feel like I just added way too many plants here, which is weird to say. And then if you thought that wasn't enough, I added some azalea bushes under the windows. Honestly, I like this touch because, I love azalea, especially the bushes. But, yeah, that added some stuff to the bottom, and then I added a pot. I was genuinely just speechless. I don't know what to say about this abomination, but let's just move on to the next house. So for this house, I wanted to do a Victorian themed house because I always see these builders do this style and I really like it. So yeah, I wanted to try it. This was the reference that I'm using, and I started off with the left side. I don't know what I was doing with the layout here. It's definitely something. I finished the layout, and then I realized that the house had a stone layer on the bottom, so I just replaced all the pale oak logs with some stone. And now that the foundation is done, we can really start getting into the build. So I was just messing around with the entryway here. After I built a little staircase, I wanted to start with the walls. So the reference picture had these really pretty walls, and I wanted to obviously make them white as well. I was going to texture, but this build was just way too big, so I just ended up not texturing that much, and I just used pale oak planks for this. And I was trying to mark out the window as well, which was a bit tricky since I hadn't even gotten done with the rest of the walls. But, it's a basic window. I don't know what to say about it. I think once I add the details, with the stairs and slabs and stuff, it'll look much better. But yeah, for now, I'll see you guys when I finish the walls and the windows. Okay, the walls are finished. I textured some of the entryway there. And also, I added some stone stairs to just mark out that I wanted to add them later on, just so I wouldn't forget. And then I wanted to make the entryway more fancy, like in the reference picture. So I went ahead with some quartz pillars, which I think look really nice. And they definitely fit in with the color palette I'm going for. And then I added some fences on top of that to give, the pillars more shape. And then I wanted to do a rounded entryway, that fancy look, just in the reference picture. So I was just I don't even know what I was doing here. The stairs definitely don't look the best on the thin fences, but it did the job. Looking back, I should have probably added walls instead of fences, but it's okay. Now I'm just gonna finish it off with some quartz slabs. Again, going for this like rounded fancy look. And since the pillars looked very unsupported, I went ahead and added a diorite wall there, and I feel like that helped a lot. Also, I don't know if diorite really fit, but this was like the only white wall block I could find, so yeah, we'll have to make do. Then I just ended up redoing the whole archway one block lower because it was too high. The stairs looked plain, so I grabbed some cobblestone stairs and just added a bit of those in there to add texture. Also, the rounded stairs were off, so I fixed that up. And then I just decided to texture like the entire stone bottom for absolutely no reason, but I think it definitely helped. Sorry guys, I'm making a lot of footage cuts here because the video is going to be way too long if I spend more time commentating each and everything I did. But then to make the windows more fancy, I added some pale oak logs and then some slabs and struggled with the stairs. I wanted to make the archway look again. Then I just went in with some shelves as vertical slabs, and I like the detailing they gave to the windows. In the reference picture, the windows that they had were like tinted. Unfortunately, I had to get rid of the vertical slabs for this, but I did find a solution later on. So I really like the look of the white and the black windows. They look really pretty. After playing around for a really long time, I found a solution to get the windows lovely. Basically all I did was just bring out the entire window frame one block, and I think it added some texture, I guess, to the walls, and it really elevated the look of the house. So I'm pretty happy with this, and I also had complete windows. Hooray. After finishing up the windows with the shelves, and then my dumb self looked at the reference a bit more clearly, and I realized that the front of the house had this like patio or something, and I wanted to do it because it looked freaking awesome. So that meant that I had to redo the whole entire stairway and the arch and all that, but I think in the end it definitely worked out. So I went ahead and textured the stone patio thingy-majingy. I don't know what it's called. I think it's a patio. But yeah, I went ahead with that. Now with adding the patio and extending the stairway, all that was left to do was just make the little arch thing again. But something I decided to do was just basically extend it outward without adding the bottom pillars. So yeah, that's basically what I did. Then I realized that I absolutely hated the diorite walls, so I replaced it with the gorgeous tough bricks, and I actually really like this because they complemented the dark windows nicely. After fixing the archway a little bit more, I went ahead with the fence gate thing that surrounded the patio. I really like the look of building with like walls, fence gates, and normal fences. It adds like so much to a simple fence, and yeah, I really like it. Now it was time to add a door so nobody would break into our lovely Victorian house. Of course, the door was going to be pale oak, And then I used some trap doors because I saw this thing where people make the doors look, I guess, taller with trap doors. And I actually really like how that turned out, even though it kind of looks like cabinets. But we don't talk about that. And then I decided to invert the doors from the inside because it added more depth to the entryway. And I think that was a pretty good decision. Now it's time for the second story. I'm really excited about this because this is the first ever house that we're doing with a second story. Now that the foundation and floor was down, I wanted to begin making the walls. I placed the mud brick slab just to mark down where the second where the second story began, just so I would know where to place the little outline I wanted to do later, and also to know where the windows would be. So the wall is pretty self-explanatory, so yeah, we'll skip this part. Hooray, the walls are finally done. Now I want to do this little overhang on the patio like it's in the reference picture. So I just began with the same pillar look using my pale oak logs, tough wall, and pale oak fence, and then the iron trapdoor for the roof. Finally, after that was done, I also added some slab on top just to balance out all that white, and also because it was in the reference picture. So yeah, I really like that touch of black on top there. So now it's time to mark out the windows again. Honestly, it's basically the same thing as the first story. So I think I'm just gonna quickly skip through this part because, like I said earlier, if I spend too much time on each house, then the video is gonna be at least a few hours long. So I'll see you guys when I finish up the second story and also the roof. Okay, I'm pretty happy with how everything turned out. I added this little trim to separate the first story and the second story. Then I finished up the roof, and of course, I added some black stairs there, and I feel like that really helped balance out the white again. And now it was time to add the little chimney, which you can also see in the reference picture. My experience with chimneys isn't that great, but, I did the best I could. I tried to shape it like in the picture. So I just began by making 2 pillars from bricks, and then added a third one to close it up. And the brick stairs would serve as shaping, I guess. I don't really know how to describe this. Now that the shape is done, we're going to add the campfire for the little smoke coming out of the chimney. And we'll just have to figure out some sort of way to close up the front without it looking too weird. So I did the best that I could there. I ended up adding some more black slabs on top of the chimney to, add detail, and also because it was in the reference picture. And now it's time for one of my favorite parts, the beautiful greenery. I wanted to keep the greenery light for this house because we can see what happened to the previous houses. So I just mixed in some azalea bushes and azalea leaves / maple leaves. I don't really know what I was doing. It's just all randomized, I guess. And I did that to each side of the house, basically. And something that I missed out on and I forgot to do was to add lighting. So yeah, I added some lanterns there. I didn't really want to fill up the entire freaking house with lanterns because when I do that, it looks really weird to me. So I added them in some remote areas that I thought would look good. Like on the fence and on the top of the roof. And I also did go ahead and add lanterns to the other houses so they wouldn't be left in the dark. Haha, get it? Because the light. Okay, I'm going to stop now. And before you know it, it is time for our next house. I really like the look of medieval houses, so that's what I went for. And I also began with a stone foundation for this house. I think I'm just going to speed run these next few houses because we're already at 25 minutes and I do not want to waste any more of your precious time. But if you are watching this far, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But yeah, let's go.
And you don't seem to understand. A shame you seemed an honest man, and all the fears you hold so dear will turn to whisper in your ear. And you know what they say might hurt you, and you know that it means so much, and you don't even feel a thing. I am falling, I am fading, I have lost it all, and you don't seem the lying kind. A shame that I can read your mind, and all the things that I read there. Candlelit smile that we both share. And you know I don't mean to hurt you, but you know that it means so much, and you don't even feel a thing. I am falling, I am fading, I am drowning. Help me to breathe. I am hurting, I have lost it all. I am losing. Help me to
And that right there completes house number 4. Yippee! So, 2 things I learned from this. Number 1, I'm good at building with references. And number 2, my creativity sucks and I cannot make up a house on my own. Now that that's done, we can move on to house number 5. Foundation/base of the house is finished. My bad for the blue blocks scattered everywhere. The recording got messed up a little bit. I'm beginning with the blue walls. I wanted to texture this a little bit, so I grabbed 3 different blocks. I believe it was blue concrete, blue powdered concrete, and blue wool. I began with the darkest on the bottom and gradually got lighter. I wish I added like the darker block a bit higher because basically the entire wall was just powdered concrete, but it's okay. I installed the windows. I tried to copy the reference picture as best as I could. I altered some of the window shapes a little bit, but it's okay. I finished up the little oak plank patio/balcony, I guess, and then I began with the roof. I was struggling with this a little bit, but in the end, I guess it turned out okay. I just started adding some bricks, and I tried to work with slabs this time because I usually just do a basic stair roof like I mentioned before. Once that was done, I added a dark oak fence and some stairs leading up to the balcony/patio, and of course added a railing to the stairs for safety precautions. I added some pots, trapdoors, lanterns, and that was about it. For my next house, I wanted to make this cafe themed build. So the color palette was mainly gonna be like oak, and then I wanted to add some pink into it, because if y'all remember the second house, it just did not turn out good, and I wanted to do the cherry with some justice. So yeah, after the frame was done, I went in with the walls, and I actually textured pretty well for this one. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I really like the color palette. Then I added the glass windows. I just did the basic glass panes again and added the cherry door. And then it was time for the roof. I wanted to do like another flat roof build because the other one really just did not turn out good. So I added like stairs along the edge, and then I added some slabs. And I wanted to do that thing that the markets have, that little cutesy roof. With the alternating colors. So I did that. It was like a little overhang, and I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out. And then I began with a bunch of leaves as well. And I added some fences in the doorway to improve the texture. And then I also added like a little table for the front over there so you could like sell your goods. And then I added some trimming with the shelves, more leaves, and then of course the beautiful vines. And I, of course, lit up the area because I always forget to do that. And then I wanted to add some flowers to the front. And I ended up making these like long bushes, and I'm pretty happy with them. And that right there wrapped up house number 5, I think. For the next house, or should I say tower, I wanted to obviously do a tower. And I wanted to do this like dark academia vibe, I guess. It's basically like these obviously dark colors, and there's like hints of purple in there, and it creates this really evil, menacing vibe, I guess. And I like that. It was like the tower in Rapunzel, you guys know? So I began with some obsidian, mapping out the circular shape. Honestly, I wish I made the tower slightly more slim and more taller, because it turned out looking a little bit silly at the end, but it's okay. So, yeah, I just began building up the walls with some obsidian. After that, I went in with some crying obsidian, and I'm actually really glad I added this touch because I just really like the glow, the particles, and it just looks absolutely beautiful. And then I ended up extending the walls a bit more because I realized the tower was going to be obviously longer. And then I went in with some magenta. I think it was glazed terracotta. I'm not sure. Honestly, there wasn't many other dark purple blocks, so that was going to have to do. I like the texture on it, but I'm not very happy with the brightness and the swords on the blocks, but it's fine. And then I began on the roof. So the roof was the one that's going to be like the dark part of the dark academia look. So I'm pretty happy with how the roof turned out, actually. But then I added this little round top to it. I can't really figure out the round tops too well, but it's okay. And then after that, I added some chains, which I think really tied it together. And I wanted to add some buttons in here, so I just added them in the entryway. And there wasn't any like good colored doors, so I had to do this dark oak one, which doesn't fit at all, but it's whatever. And then I wanted to do this rounded window shape, and I added some deep slate window trims, I guess. And then I went in with the soul lanterns, which I'm actually pretty happy with because they really match the vibe. And I just slapped on a bunch of withered roses everywhere and some pitcher flowers, I think they're called. I don't know. But that was the end of house number 6. For this next house, I wanted to do stone walls because I don't really work with them that much. So I did that, and I textured a little bit. And I also used dark wood, and I try to build this like unique roof that I haven't really done before because, like I said, I usually just do the triangular roofs. So I was pretty happy with that. And again, I tried to do the little like rounded edge there at the top. It didn't really work out, but it's okay. Then after that, I added some windows to the top of the roof, and I added these little pots to the front and back because I really like the look of them, and I think the spruce trapdoors really added color. And then I wanted to add some signs to differentiate everything, and added more potted plants, fixed the doorway, added my shelf outlines, lanterns, and that was it. For the next house, I wanted to recreate a house that I found on Pinterest because it's really, really adorable. Honestly, I'm not too happy that I'm just directly like recreating the builds. I want to create like my own builds, but my creativity is not that great. So we're going to recreate the house for this one. But hopefully towards the end of the challenge, I'll be able to just make up my own builds because I think I'm pretty good with copying off references, just like normal buildings in real life references. I think I'm pretty good at that, like the Victorian house. But then when I don't have a reference at all and I have to create a build, that's when it gets tricky because we see what happened in the first and second houses. Gulp. But if I just have like a build to copy directly, then I usually am able to just do it. But I still don't want to do that, and I want to take the hardest option because I'm just like that. The roof was a bit complicated on this one, and it's nothing like I've done before, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So basically what I did is I outlined the roof part, I guess, with my favorite spruce planks, and then I was making the roof red, and I textured it with a bunch of blocks, which I also saw in the image, so I used them. And then I added oak trap doors and fixed up a few things, and I'm pretty happy with all the detailing on this build because I really like the details, you know? I like those very maximalist builds. And after adding some lecterns as the railings to the balcony, I added the leaves on top and, of course, the vines, and that was about it. My bad for the glitch. The replay got glitched again. But for this house, I wanted to do that like house that's like fused with the ground, those like earthy houses. I think they're really cute and I wanted to make one. So I actually found a bit of inspo on Pinterest, but what I did is I took like 3 peeks at it and then I just continued making it how I wanted it. So it's a bit inspired, but it was mostly mine, I guess. I'm quite happy with how this one turned out. For the next houses, I think I'm not going to give commentary because, one, nobody wants to hear me yap. And number 2, I just want to get through the houses very, very quickly. So I hope you guys enjoy the montage. So since the new Nautilus update dropped, I wanted to make a house based on that. So I made this like glass dome shape. Then I added this white outline, which I think tied the look together. And of course I textured it. Then I added this crimson door, fixed the entryway, added more shape to the entire globe, added some prismarine lights, I think they're called. And then soul torches, which I'm pretty happy with, and a few more details, as well as the chains, and I'm pretty happy with this one. For this next one, I wanted to do a mushroom house because those are so freaking adorable. So I used a variety of textures, and making the stem was definitely probably the hardest part. I had to extend it a lot because it was way too short. But in the end, I guess it turned out okay. The shape wasn't the best, but it's fine. Then I picked out my little color palette here, and I began with the red part of the mushroom. So once that was finished, I added, of course, the white spots for the mushroom. And I added some glowberries because I thought they really looked adorable. And just kind of fit the mythical theme I was going for. And then it was time to add like the door, the entryway, whatever. And it looked a little bit plain, so I added this window, and I used like some trapdoors to add like a little frame outline, and I think that definitely fixed the like loneliness of the wall, I guess. And then I added some more stairs to make the entrance more grand, and I thought it'd be fun to add this little like pathway for the little pixies that live in this mushroom house, just so they could like walk around. And I thought it'd make it more like foresty and add to the blank barren walls. So I just used some spruce stuff, and it kind of wrapped around the house, and that was about it. So for this next house, I wanted to kind of go with the medieval tower thing. Like, you know those towers that you guys see in castles with the jagged edges or whatever? I don't know. Those look really cool. And I really like doing medieval. So I was just going to freehand this, no reference, once again. I don't really know how to feel about this build. The result was not there, but it's okay. So I began with this little gradient on the walls, and I need to make this tower pretty tall to fit the vibe, I guess. I don't really know. I feel like I could have done better on the gradient, and I should have added more darkness on the bottom as I went up, but it's fine. So yeah, I wanted to like make this tower look a bit worn, and I think the tuff really helped with that. And now that we finished the walls, it's time to add all the details. Okay, next house, I want to do a desert type pyramid thing. So I had to just go back to the Bed Wars days. I made this little thing that you would usually make when you try to protect your bed in Bed Wars, and I feel like that really helped me start the pyramid. So I just continued to build off of that, and eventually I got the shape I needed. So I made the entryway, and I wanted to texture a little bit because it just looked, I don't really know, not really that natural, I guess. Not that it's supposed to be natural, but you get the point, guys. Trust. So I used birch because I feel like it fit in, and it was like a darker variation of sand/sandstone. And of course, I added smooth sand and sand. I smoothed the entire build with slabs, and I made the entryway more grand with like stairs and stuff, and it looked plain and boring, so I just grabbed some hay bales and scattered them around because felt like they fit with the whole vibe. And I grabbed some bamboo too to add variation. I really don't know what I was doing here. This house is not my favorite, but you know, it's fine. Okay, this next house, I wanted to do something fun, so I decided that I was going to give myself 2 minutes, and I was going to see what I could build in that said time. I did pick the blocks out beforehand, because I know I wouldn't be able to really comprehend anything during 2 minutes. So, yeah, there's just like, I don't know how to feel about the copper, but it's definitely something. So I just began with the oxidized copper blocks, I believe. I don't know. The layout could have been better. I feel like the house was too slim, but it's fine. For the roof, I wanted to go for another flat roof because I would not have enough time to do like a full-on triangular roof and add like everything that I wanted. So I just used stairs for the outline, overhang, whatever, and slabs on top, and yeah, I finished it off. So I didn't grab a few important blocks that I needed, which definitely cost me a lot of time, but I needed a door, obviously. So I decided to just go with the orange one because if I picked the blue copper door, it just blended in too much. And then for the windows, I decided to use bars because glass, I feel like, wouldn't really fit the theme of the house, in my opinion. The bars definitely make it look like a prison, but at this point, I was just trying to add any random details that I could fit in here. I don't know what those trapdoors were doing there, but you know what? Glad I removed them. So for the next house, I found this really, really pretty build on Pinterest, and it was very complicated looking, and I wanted to recreate it for funsies. I did change up a few things, not many, but just like the roof, because it was a little bit messy in my opinion, which I really like too, but I don't think I'd be able to recreate it perfectly. So yeah, I think the build was supposed to mimic a jail, dungeon, or something like that. Mine looks more like a rural abandoned house, but you know what? It was somewhat good. I hate to interrupt the video, but if you've made it this far, I'd appreciate if you guys could subscribe because it tells me you guys like these videos and it helps me get the motivation to keep going. Thank you. Now back to the video. After I finished up the entrance, I decided to work on the little path that leads up to the main entrance. It has a variety of blocks, but I think it looks really nice. Also, I literally could not get this button to face in the right direction. I don't know what was going on. When I first looked at this build, one of the things that stood out to me was this, pot thing. I'm gonna guess it's like those pots that you lower into a well to get the water. I don't know, but I added it because, we're trying to recreate the build. And it just looks really awesome. I really like it, and I'm probably gonna use this in my future builds. So now I'm going to finish up the front of the build and then I'll get back to you guys. Okay, the front is finished. I'm honestly really proud with how this turned out, and it was definitely a challenge copying this build, but I think it looks amazing and I'm a really big fan of all the details. Obviously we still got the back to do, but I'm excited to finish. Alright, so in the reference picture, they didn't really show what's going on in the back, so I'm just going to try to match the walls kind of like based off what they showed in the front. I'm going to make these pillars with oak log, and I'm going to fill it in with a bunch of random stone, and hopefully it'll turn out in the end. So I'm not going to worry too much about the back. I'm just going to make the roof with an assortment of different blocks, and hopefully it turns out well in the end. So now I'm going to finish up the little tower on top, and I'll see you guys when I'm done. Ta-da, we are done. I'm really happy with the way this house turned out. I really love all the intricate details. They add so much personality to the entire build, and the flowery roof on top is really pretty in my opinion. I'm not sure who the original creator of this build is, but I did find it on Pinterest, so credits to them for inspo, and let's move on to the next house. For this house, I wanted to do a tree, I guess, like a literal tree house, just like a house inside a tree. So I feel like dark oak will be a really pretty wood type for this, so I just went in with the base. I don't really know what I was doing. Probably should have started with a circular type shape instead of a square, but it works. And then I just went in straight for the roots. I don't know why I use spruce slabs, but you learn every day. So yeah, as I said, these are supposed to be the roots of the tree, and they're keeping the whole tree stable, and they're kind of going in from the ground. I should have probably done half of the root going in and then popping out from the ground after a certain amount of blocks. I feel like that would have been better, but we move on. So I built up the trunk and I made the branches at the top of the tree. I tried to shape it. I don't really know how it turned out. It's something, okay? So I think what's gonna really save this build is just the leaves. So I'm basically covering everything in leaves and just building up that tree shape, the iconic tree shape. Yeah. Major transition here, but there we go. It's all done. I added a bunch of decorations, plants, the doorway, and yeah, let's move on to the next house. So for this house, I wanted to structure it differently, I guess. I wanted to add more onto it, if that makes sense. So I began with the frame, and then I marked out where there's going to be this, like, tower coming out of the house for some reason. And then I wanted to have this, like, front market porch style thing, kind of like I did with the pink cafe that we built earlier. But I filled in the walls with sand, and for the roof, I felt like using blue because it's like a contrasting color. So there we go. The house is finished. There's the little tower on top. I tried to do the little window curve thing that people do. I don't know. And then the porch, obviously, we got that right there. And I did the little water thing from the previous build because I really liked it. And yeah, it's like a workstation type house. But now let's move on to the next and final house because I'm lazy. So I'm just going to go in with my favorite color palette, which is blue, yellow, and pink all together. I don't know. I really like it. So I had absolutely zero plan for this house. So I just went in, and honestly, it reminds me of an ice cream shop, but you know, I'm not mad about it. So there's that blue base that we got. I want to add a staircase to make it more grand. I really don't feel like doing a whole gradient for the house, so I just decided to do these random bits of stripes or whatever. And it doesn't look horrible, but it's not the best. For the roof, I thought that adding white would contrast all the bright colors nicely. I think it worked out. I wanted to try one of those mansion type roofs. I don't know what they're called, but it's like those really tall ones. You get the point. So I just built it with blocks instead of only stairs. Sadly, I made the house, I'm pretty sure, even, so I wasn't able to have a tippy top. There's like 2 tippy tops. I don't know. Which is so annoying, but I'm not about to rebuild all this. So I'll see you guys when I finish the house. So there we go. I finished the roof and added this white trim. The house is really bad because I really need to get this video out. But there we go, the final house. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next and better video. Bye!